All right, what's up guys? We're outside Harbor Freight right now just picking up some supplies and parts, and I wanted to make this quick video about 5 things I learned as my first year in business as a diesel mechanic or as a mobile diesel shop, whatever you want to call it. I just crossed over my first year a couple weeks ago, and I just wanted to give you 5 things I've learned from being in business so far. All right, so the first thing I want to say, or that I've learned, is when you start, don't be in dumb debt. So what I mean by this is, of course, some of you guys might have mortgages or car loans or something like that. Those are kind of like bigger purchases that you planned ahead for. What I'm talking about is don't be in stupid consumer or credit card debt, because that will eat you alive as you try to start your business. Most of you guys have a good career in the field already. Diesel technicians make pretty decent money working at regular shops, things like that. Use that to your advantage and pay down any credit cards you have, any bills that are overhanging, anything like that, and streamline your personal finance. Because when you get started with the business, especially if you start just as a sole proprietorship or as a sole member LLC, your personal life reflects directly your business's success. So you don't want to have bad debt on your books from the get-go. It also just stresses out your business. So say you're paying $1,500 a month in credit cards. If your business is making $3,000 a month, it's going to be a lot harder to make that jump to go and work for your business full time when you have this unnecessary debt just hanging over you. And I learned this from experience. I started with some credit card debt, and I've spent the last year paying it down extremely hard and just doing my best to pay all of it down, and it's helped a lot. But I can tell that it's limited my ability to grow the business. I could have used all that money on another truck, on a down payment for a really nice crane truck, or to hire another employee. So that's my first tip, is just don't have bad debt when you start a business. Even if it takes you a year or two longer, or prolonging your business to get started, to get rid of that unnecessary consumer debt, then do it. It's well worth it, and it's gonna save you a lot of time and money and stress. All right, so tip number 3 for you guys, or the third thing I've learned after a year in business, is don't take a job you can't do. It's better to have no reputation than a bad reputation. And again, when you're desperate for work, this can be kind of a hard line to manage, as you want to take on more work than you might usually take on, or more odd jobs than you might usually work. But trust me, it doesn't pay out in the end. Think about this. Say you're a diesel mechanic that works on field equipment like skid steers, excavators, rollers, things like that, like construction ag. Well, some guy calls you up and says, hey, I got a F-250, it needs front hubs, can you do that? Well, personally, as a mechanic, you might have the skills to do that, and they might even be willing to pay your labor rate. But think about what kind of customer retention you're having by working in something that's outside of your field and outside of your expertise. Had to take a quick break there. Got my Monster Land Clearing hat on. Pretty sweet. Customer gave it to me. They're one of the customers that I service pretty regularly. But back to what I was saying about don't take a job you can't do. So the first part of that is don't take a job outside your wheelhouse just to make money. Think about the type of customer attention you're gonna have. It's not going to be good, because even if you do a good job on like that customer's front hubs on their Ford auto truck, that who are they gonna tell? Nobody that owns field equipment that you're trying to get business for. And as your business grows, you're gonna have to slowly phase out that type of work, because it's not what you want to be doing. So it's better just from the jump to say, hey, that's not really in my field of our business or field of expertise, or however you want to word it, and say these are a few companies that I think will take care of you in a more efficient, more cost-effective, and quality way than I could. So the customer will respect you 10 times over for something like that than if you take a job that's out of your wheelhouse, and then you're kind of like either overcharging them or can't do repeat business for them or anything like that, because a customer wants somebody they can trust for years and years and years. And you know, if you're only gonna want to take that job when you're just starting out and it's not something you would take in a year or two, then don't take it when you start out. That's just the gist. The flip side of it is a lot of guys will take jobs that they can't really manage as a small business when they get started. So what you've done at the dealer, what you've done in your shop that you worked for previously, that's totally different than what you're capable of as your own mechanic in the field. So say somebody calls you for a clutch job on a dump truck that's down in the oil field. Well, you know, you're thinking, oh, clutch, that's big money, you know, 12 hours labor, full charge, you know, hourly rate, whatever it might be. That's great. I need to take that. But think beforehand, am I capable to take on a job like that, and can my business float that amount of work for that period of time, you know, before it starts having issues? So you know, do you have a clutch jack? Do you have if the transmission somehow slips off the jack, do you have a way to get the transmission back on the jack? Do you know how to do a clutch job in the field in an efficient manner that won't make you lose either a bunch of money on your end or have to charge the customer a lot of money? You know, there's so many variables that come into play when you have your own business that you just don't think about when you got 5 guys around you in a controlled environment in the shop. So don't bite off more than you can chew, to keep it frank, right? So you know, trust me, you're gonna make a lot more money on those 2 to 4 hour jobs, than, especially when you start out, than you will on those big jobs. So, you know, if it is a matter of, hey, I can only do belts, tires, basic diag, and basic electrical when I get started, that's okay. You know, you need to start somewhere, build your knowledge, build your customer base, and as you get more experience, you understand what you can take on more and more with your type of tooling, with the way your truck is outfitted and everything like that. So don't get too deep into a job that you can't come back from, because that's the worst thing. And a bad reputation as a mechanic is pretty much the worst thing you can have. It's worse than losing money on jobs. It's worse than making no money, because people talk no matter what. If you're a good technician, they talk. If you're a bad technician, they really talk. So keep that in mind, and keep in mind that a good reputation takes years to build and days to be destroyed. So, you know, when you decide whether you want to take on jobs, think of that. Keep that in mind. I've had several customers or potential customers that have come to me and be like, you know, we actually respect, you know, you more for saying that you couldn't do something or that it's not going to work out for you than if you just let us on thinking you might be able to take on a certain job. So it does build a good rapport. So the fourth thing I learned is kind of similar to the third thing, but take care of your customers. It's as simple as that. Follow up with your customers, call your customers, be there for your customers. And the number one thing, which this is number 4, but this is something that's made, I think, my business successful, is be fair to your customers and they'll be fair to you. That's a rule I live by. A buddy that runs around this area, when I was first starting, I got in touch with him and he taught me that, and I've stuck with it ever since. It's been a great lesson. I can't tell you how many times customers, repeat customers, new customers, whatever it might be, have come to me and said, you know, the last guy that worked out here never gave me a call back, never got back with me through text, or it takes a week to respond to my phone calls or texts, and we use you guys because you pick up the phone. And I've gotten that several times over. And it's crazy to me that these guys want to start businesses, but then when it comes to running a business, they don't want any part of it. And that's the difference between a good technician and a good business owner. So oftentimes when you start, you're both, but eventually you want to become one, which is the owner, and have other technicians in your place to be able to have a successful business. And answering the phone is the easiest thing in the world. Everyone has phones. Everyone always has their phone on them. You know, my voice messaging system is, if we don't answer right away, we will call you by the end of the day. And we live by that. You know, it's not always fun to be on the phone. It's not always fun to have to call these customers back that you've never met before. They're just asking for help on problems sometimes they don't want to pay for, or sometimes you're not making any money by answering the phone. But that's part of the job, and that has landed me better customers and better customer retention than probably anything else. You know, a few weeks after the repair, I'll shoot them a message or give them a call and say, hey man, how's this working out for you? How's your truck running? How's your equipment running? You know, what do you got on your plate? What's going on? And that shows that you care about the customer. So the fourth tip I can give, which is arguably one of the most important, is just get back with your customers, communicate with your customers, and show them that, you know, they're valued. So if I don't hear from a customer within a week or two, like a regular customer of mine, I'll shoot them a text. Hey man, how's your equipment running? You got anything down? What's going on? And you know, oftentimes they appreciate you just being in touch, because you're showing that your business is established and that you want them to communicate with you by keeping that line open. You know, if a customer calls you 5 times a week and you never answer, they're going to stop calling you, and they're going to start calling the guy that gives them the time of day. So some customers, you know, a lot of truck drivers, they just want to shoot the bull, and you got to learn to balance that. Obviously, you don't want to be on the phone all day not making any money, but also understand that they're looking to talk. You know, they usually call you for a reason, not just to chop it up. You know, they're busy too. So find their pain point and then resolve that issue for them. And that has done so well for me and my business in the last year. And I've actually gotten reception back saying that's the reason we use you, is because your communication is better than the other mechanics that we've used. And to go along with that, it's an error I see quite a bit is don't try to make all your money off one guy. Or the converse to that is don't make all your money in one job. And what this saying means is, you know, you might have a guy that pays consistently, you know, always needs work done, whatever it might be. Be fair to your customers. You know, you don't need to be overbilling them for every little thing just so you can make money. The other thing I see is when guys are real tight on money any particular week, they start billing differently than what they previously billed. And I've fallen into this trap before too, because, you know, if I'm low on money, or in the past when I've been low on money, I'm like, man, I gotta skate by and, you know, make some money and get some quick cash and everything like that so my business can stay afloat. And you know, you start charging a little heavier than you might have before. And this is a bad habit to get into, because it doesn't create any consistency in your business, and it really isn't fair to the customer. So what I can say to this is separate your personal business from their business. You know, it's not their fault that you don't have money in your business. It's not their fault that you're struggling. Don't put that on them. Don't try to make them pay for all of your problems. So build them correctly, build them accordingly, and be fair to them. You know, if you know they give you $15,000, $20,000 a year, $30,000 a year in business, don't get caught up on the $100 or the $50 or whatever it may be on any particular job, because they're going to pay you more in the end. And there will be jobs and times where you make up for that. The other day, I happened to pull up onto a customer's property because I was going to work on a few pieces of their equipment, and the property manager was mowing, and it just so happened, you know, he stopped mowing to talk to me, and then when he went to pull the parking brake on his mower, the parking brake broke off. And so it took us about 30 minutes, 45 minutes, you know, to figure out what we wanted to do, probably an hour by the end of it, a billable hour by the end of it, to figure out what we wanted to do. I towed him all the way back to where they keep their mowers, which he was way out on the property, so that was quite a bit of a tow, and we were going extremely slow because you have no control over the mower, and you know, and everything like that. And I didn't even bill him for that, doing that little thing, because it was complete coincidence. I just happened to be there the same time that parking brake failed. But what happened? Hey man, can you work on this parking brake? We need this mower as soon as you can. So, you know, I got that job because I was already there and I knew he would give it to me. He's a regular customer of mine. So, you know, maybe it took me like an hour to fix the parking brake, and the customer actually ended up buying me lunch and everything like that, and we were just talking for a while. So they're the property manager, I should say, out at that property, and you know, overall, did I probably spend more than an hour out there between towing his equipment back to the shop and then fixing the equipment? Probably. But how does it look on the invoice when, you know, I have, towed equipment 1 hour, repaired equipment 1 hour, you know, and two, he bought me lunch as a thank you for towing his equipment. So yes, can you justify your time always? Probably. You know, most of the time you can probably justify your time, but what's fair to the customer? What's going to leave a good impression with the customer? And if they constantly see me billing and nickeling, diming them when they're a 5-figure customer, they're going to start maybe feeling not so great about calling me out for every little thing. Now, if they know I'm fair to them, if they know, man, he took time out of his day to tow me and repair the job, even though he didn't even come out here for that, you know, that's great. You know, I'm going to buy him lunch. I'm going to call him for everything I need done. That's called creating a good reputation, and that's called not making all your money off of one job. And that's what it's about, and that's what creates good relationships, is people that are confident in you not screwing them over and you not trying to get rich off of them. So that's what it's about. And all right, so this is like number 5, the last thing I've learned about being in businesses for a year, and this is more on the business side of things than the technician side of things. But pay yourself a weekly paycheck, and however you want to do it is fine, but pay yourself something weekly that you want to get paid or that your business can support, so that you can have a personal proof of income. When I first started, I basically only paid myself on the success of the business. And so if I made, you know, $1,000 in a week, I'd only pay myself maybe $200. If I made $2,000, I'd be like, okay, now I can pay myself $3 or $4, you know, and I still had another job at this time. But the point is, you don't want your payroll to fluctuate based on your business income. You want it to be very specific and very to the point. So now, you know, I pay myself a weekly rate, and it's increased a little bit as I've gone full time for myself, but I pay myself the same no matter what. And so if I do $5,000 in a week, then I pay myself the same. If I do $1,000 in a week, I pay myself the same. And the reason for that being is because at the end of the day, you want to treat yourself as an employee. The business isn't going to be able to grow if you take more as it gets more and you take less as it gets less. That's going to create a huge roller coaster effect in your business and not any consistency. The other thing is, for your personal means, you want to create proof of income for yourself. So if you go to a bank for a loan for a new car or truck, or even for your business, they're going to look at that, and you can say, hey, I've paid myself X amount of dollars every single week for the last 2 years. That's proof of income. Okay, so they can look at that and say, okay, you don't have a W-2, but we see that your business has paid you X amount of dollars every single week, consistently for the last 2 years. So that's extremely good when you go to a bank for any type of money loan or any type of line of credit or interaction like that. So that's the number 5 thing I've learned, is don't pay yourself based on the success of your business. If anything, just give yourself a bonus. So if you had a couple good months and you see that you have more money in your account than you usually would in your accounts, then maybe give yourself a few $100 bonus, give yourself $1,000 bonus, whatever it is. It's your money at the end of the day. But what I'm trying to say and be specific on is, don't do that on a week-to-week basis. It's going to create so much chaos in your business, and it's really going to tie you to your business in a stressful way. So, you know, if you make $0, you're going to really be stressed out and hate yourself and be mad at your business and, oh, I can't pay myself this week, I made no money. Well, that's not how businesses work. They work over the long term, not the short term. So your week to weeks, your months to months, they'll fluctuate, but overall, as long as you're growing, you'll do okay. So pay yourself the same. It's going to create a lot less headache in your personal life, and it's also going to separate some of your personal finances from your business finances. And, you know, I tell people all the time, like, I make no money. You know, I don't get paid that much. You know, I probably make less than, you know, the McDonald's worker working 50 hours a week. But it's because I know where my business is going. I know what I can survive off of, and I frankly don't need to pay myself more than I am right now. And I'm sure that'll change in the future, especially as my business continues to grow. But I understand what I need to get paid right now to be able to succeed, and for my business to also be able to succeed. And it's consistent every week, and I still have fun. I'm still able to go out and pay for the things I need to pay for and pay for the bills I have. But it's not in excess, and it's not anything insane. So that's something that a tip I want to give. No matter if you pay yourself $100 a week when you're just starting out and you're part-time, or this is a side gig, or you pay yourself $1 million a week because you've grown into this insane business. It doesn't really matter. It's about the consistency behind it and doing something that your business can support long-term. So those are my 5 tips, or 5 things I learned when starting a diesel business for myself. And if you want me to create more of these videos, I definitely have like plenty more things I've learned. This has been a huge learning process, but it's been a great experience, and I'm excited for what's to come and in the years to come. But that's just the 5 first things that popped in my head. And you know, if you want me to make another video, drop a like, drop a comment, and I appreciate the support on the business page so far, and I'm excited for what's to come.